My short film was a complete disaster. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was actually pretty good. It came out pretty nice, and it was a no-budget movie. Basically, made this like little movie for fun. Overall, the production of it went pretty good. It took a few months, but it was our biggest thing yet because we've done many skits and other things before this. This was our biggest project yet. I wish I knew a few things before I actually started shooting it. So in this video, I've been going over like 5 things that I wish I learned before making my first short film. And maybe you can take something here and apply it to your first short film. Okay, the first thing that I wish I learned is to actually like plan out the days. And this is something we didn't really do that well. Obviously, we have work schedules and we have school and other things going on in our lives, so we can't dedicate a whole lot of time to this. And it took us over 2 months to actually shoot, which might surprise you, but we were only able to shoot on some weekends. And it's a pretty short movie. Just like make sure you plan out your days. Make sure you have like all the right clothes. Everyone's there. Everyone's available. That's also another one. Make sure everyone is in good shape. And the second thing that I wish I knew this is don't schedule around dawn or dusk. If you're a small project, don't shoot around these times because I think dawn and dusk is the most frustrating to get around because either you have to get up in the morning or you have to shoot late at night. And the night scenes in the movie that we ended up shooting, we had to shoot over, I think, 3 days. And that wasn't too bad, but imagine if we were doing it all in one night. And especially in the morning, so obviously at the beginning of the weekend, you have the moment where Marcus is in the morning at the beach scene. We actually shot those at sunset, so that would be way easier. Ain't no way we're gonna get up at 6 o'clock and shoot this thing. And so in the movie, that's actually sunset, and we kind of like pretended we shot out of order and pretended that was the sun rising during that scene in the movie. If you can actually shoot around dawn or dusk, I would say do it because that's what looks best on especially phone. I did want to add those scenes in the movie because at sunset on the iPhone, it looks really, really crisp. It looks really, really clean, I think, in my opinion. And the third thing is just try to memorize as much as you can, especially if you're like the director or editor or anything. Make sure you remember like little things like, obviously you want to remember the script and what's going on and what you're shooting that day, but also remember like the little things like, is there like a cut in his forehead? Make sure you have that. Is he wearing the same clothes? That's also another big one. One little gag that I'll share with you guys here is Evan had the same clothes, the FSU shirt, throughout the entire thing except the ending where he had another shirt. It was still a black shirt, but we had to write that in somehow. And at that time, we just pretended that he changed clothes into something similar, which doesn't make sense at all, but just make sure you remember like little continuity things, like, are these people wearing the same clothes, the shoes off, what's going on in the background, especially the background for the home scene. We shot those over 2 different days, and we couldn't get the house identical to how it was before because obviously we changed up things in the house. We can't replicate it 100%. So that is one exception. But overall, if you're editing, if you're directing, if you're doing it all, just make sure you have a good memory and maybe write down some notes as well as when you're in production. And a good transition into this is actually think like an editor. So if you're editing this movie like how I was thinking of like which shots should I use? Which shots worked best and how could I actually cut it up? Because I was editing it while we were shooting it. So I would come home after shoot day, come home, edit it, and then we would do the next day. And I already have in mind how this is going to connect, how I'm going to cut it in, which music cues are going to be in that moment. And this is also really good if you are editing it yourself, if you're editing your YouTube video, especially it's an important factor into the whole filmmaking process. Also, if you're not that good with editing, I would suggest getting good at it. I'm going to make a whole video on editing one day. It's something really easy, especially for if you're just starting out. There's so many free ones like CapCut, DaVinci Resolve, iMovie even. It's easier than you think, and especially if you're just starting out, it's easy just to learn. Just watch some YouTube videos, look up a quick tutorial on it. It should be fine. And the last thing I wish I learned is that it's going to be a long process And, that's all right. That's okay. I didn't even know how long this is going to be. I thought we're going to do this over 2 weeks easily. Especially if you have full-time jobs, if you have school and doing other things in the meantime, you can't dedicate your whole time making this movie. You can't dedicate everything because you have to spread out the time. This took over 3 months easily. And, it's just a little short movie. It shouldn't take a whole lot of time. If we were back in high school, we did this over the weekend. We could have done like that. But unfortunately, once you're an adult, things change and you don't have as much time. Especially when you're doing actual movies, like I want to do someday. Like if you're doing like a full feature movie, features take years to make. There's a reason why it takes 2 to 3 years to make. Is because it's such a long process. First, you got to come up with the idea, which took easily a week for me. I had to write it. I had to write the script, especially if you're the director in a big budget movie. You have to be there for like years and years just to get this one project done. And that's an insane amount of time. You got to do the full production, the full editing, the full everything. But at the time you see it on the big screen, by the time we saw it on our at the couch, it was well worth it. We loved our movie, and you got to take pride in your work, and that's something that you got to learn. It's a long process, and that's okay. So if you're making a short film or even like a long YouTube video, these are some things that you got to keep in mind, maybe even before starting or as you're starting. Just remember to keep these little things in mind. So that's all I got to say. I'm really excited for my next one. We're planning it out pretty soon. If you want to chat with me one-on-one, link in the description. And also if you want some advice for YouTube and other things, also link in the description. Check out my gaming channel as well. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.